Hello, everybody. My name is Gabriella Acosta, and this is my critique on the show Outside Mullingar. First, we'll start off with the setting of the show. When I first walked into the theater, I saw the set and I thought it looked really well done. I thought it was, I, I thought it was very, they had cool props everywhere. I was just having a little bit of a hard time at first thinking of what time period that this show would take place in. I saw the wood burning stove and I thought, okay, maybe this show is going to take place maybe post Civil War around like 1860s and or higher. Or I thought that the show could be taking place in the 1940s, 30s, between the 30s and the 50s, just because of this is when I saw the television and then I saw the actor come on stage for the first time, and his outfit just it wasn't it reminded me the most of an era between the 30s and the 50s. The second thing I'm going to discuss is the props of the show. The show was very simple, but it did have a really, but it had a good variety of props. They had the running water in the kitchen, which I thought was very cool and gave a good realistic touch to the show. Another realistic touch to the show that I thought was the way that they drank the beer and the tea. You could actually see could actually see the color in both the ale and the tea. So I thought that was pretty cool and realistic, and I felt like, the drinking of beer really gave a glimpse into Irish culture, perhaps. Another prop, I believe this would be under props and or costume design, but I really thought that the tear, not the teardrops, the raindrops on the characters' coats and hair and such was very cool. And another thing, one last prop that I felt was very cool was the cigarettes. When Rosemary was smoking, that she had realistic smoke. It wasn't fake. It was genuine. So that gave another realistic touch. Third thing I'm going to talk about is the lighting and sound design. Something that I noticed with the lighting was they did it a lot to do transitions. So one transition was when, you know, Anthony, Tony, and Rosemary's mom were in the house, and then Tony leaves. I'm sorry, and then Anthony leaves and then goes to talk to Rosemary. The lighting, it got darker and it gave a reflection of nighttime. And so you saw the two parents sleeping, and then Rosemary and Anthony out talking. So that was a really cool transition. And another one I liked was Rosemary's dad's funeral, where it was they didn't show the funeral per se, but with the lighting they kind of created the aspect that there was a funeral going on by the way that the light was positioned and shining on Rosemary. So that was something that I noticed and thought to be really, really creative and really cool. In regards to the sound design, I really enjoyed the rain falling. I felt like along with the rain falling noises, I felt along with the raindrops on the costume that it was a very nice, realistic touch. And so the fourth thing I'm going to talk about is the costume design. I I liked the costume design. I felt like it was realistic for the setting being in a rural farm rustic type area. Um, they had Rosemary had the tomboy look with the jeans and the plaid shirt, and she really captured the essence of a girl growing up on a farm and being really close to her dad and kind of roughnecking everything, or not everything, but roughnecking some things, and Anthony had his outfit really captured the persona of it. It was just a plain outfit, but plain in a good way, because it's not supposed to be anything fancy. He was just a simple farm boy, and so it definitely fit his character really well. Along, and the same goes for the two parents. Just simple farm wear. I really got going back to the time period thing. I really thought that the costumes reflected the 1930s through 50s, between that era, just by mainly from the way that the men's suits looked with the suspenders and such, and then the way that Rosemary and her mom had the leggings on with the skirt. And in my personal opinion, I felt like it gave a rustic, I'm sorry, it gave a vintage touch to it. One thing that I really liked was Rosemary's hair. I'm not a big fan of wigs, but I felt like her wig was appropriate. Just simple Irish farm girl with the curly hair. So I really enjoyed that, and I thought it looked really realistic, and I didn't have a problem with the wig. The acting, I believe, was very well done. I feel like they nailed the Irish accent for the most part. And there was a few times where they slipped from character, but because they were laughing at the jokes in the play, I could hear them kind of escaping their Irish accent a little bit. But other than that, I felt like they did a really good job with capturing the emotion and the feel for the storyline, and you could see it on their face and through their body movements. I especially liked the part where Rosemary was arguing with Anthony, and you could just hear in her voice, and you could just pick, I kind of related to her, so I could just from hearing her voice, and I could kind of get a touch into her mind, like how crazy she's going over her wanting to be with Anthony. And I was in a similar situation, so I really related to that and really connected strongly with that part. I felt like the storyline was simple but powerful and entertaining. It was only one set, 4 actors, and I felt that they really did a great job with entertaining the audience and keeping the audience's attention for the entire time. I feel like that's a hard thing to do, and they pulled that off. So that's something that I really enjoyed, and I'm a big fan of lessons in stories. So I felt like the moral of the story and the lessons that we learn in there, I felt like I really enjoyed that. It gave a lot of valuable lessons and that, and so I liked that. And I also liked the symbolism within the play. They had quite a bit of symbolism. One example being the shooting of the crows that Rosemary's dad used to do, the field and the bee, and just all these different small but really really interesting symbolisms. And that is the end of it. So I know it's a little bit longer. Bear with me. I'm sorry. But thanks for listening, and that was my critique on Outside Mullingar.